Well, hello from Carbis Bay Beach. We're here for a week on a holiday. It's half term, October half term, and we're staying in an apartment which you might just be able to see up there. Paul probably put it in the edit. In an apartment overlooking the fantastic beach here. So if I just turn us round, you can see, there we are. We're on the beach at Carbis Bay. Fantastic view. It's just lovely to sit on the balcony, hear the sea, hear the seagulls, watch the train tootling past. Absolutely lovely. So we'll take you with us on our trip into St Ives. So just ahead of us is the Carbis Bay Hotel. And you might be thinking, where do I know the Carbis Bay Hotel from? Well, the Carbis Hotel is where the G7 summit was held. So on this particular patch of sand where we're walking now, a load of world leaders could be walking in the footsteps of Biden or President Macron. But yeah, this is where the G7 was. And on the other side, there's some like individual buildings. They've all got grass roofs on actually, but they've all got flags. So one says USA, one says Italy. So I'm wondering if they were the rooms that were used, like, you know, for private meetings for each of the different countries. But yes, we're walking on the beach where the G7 world leaders would have walked. There you go. So I mentioned about the G7. So the path, the southwest coastal path that you walk from St Ives to Carbis Bay, you walk right through the grounds of the hotel. That was the G7 symbol, and then you've got all these lodges. Hopefully you can see, but lodge number 1 is United States of America, as I mentioned before. Lodge number 3 is Italy. So yeah. As you walk along the southwest coast path from Carbis Bay to St Ives, there's all sorts of interesting things. Now this building, which I would just come back a bit, you can see here, is apparently the Balking House. It was a lookout from which watch was kept for shoals of pilchards in the bay, and the movements of the seine boats were directed. So yeah, interesting, a bit of local history as you walk from Carbis Bay to St Ives. The walk from Carbis Bay to St Ives along the southwest coastal path is about 1.5 miles. We did it yesterday, and obviously doing it again today in the beautiful blue skies. It's well worth walking. What we tend to do is walk in and come back on the train, but you get loads of fabulous views as you go round the bend. Last section of the walk brings you down through a wood, and there's numerous benches on the side that are dedicated to people who've died. Oh, there's a Hannah in front. But you come down through the trees and you see glimpses of this fantastic view. And you get to see the first glimpses of St Ives over there in the distance. Oh, and the train's just going to come past. Train! So there's St Ives. Come down the hill past the train, and here we are on Porthminster Beach. So we're just coming into St Ives. The sign at the top of the path here as we come out of the woods says it's 10 minutes walk into the town, and the town's just over there. I mean, it's October, you wouldn't believe it. I mean, you've got blue sea, gorgeous yellow sand, and hardly a cloud in the sky. Well, here we are in St Ives. We've done the walk from Carbis Bay, about 1.5 miles. It's a really lovely walk. A few bits of ups and downs. Crossed the train track a couple of times. The train from Carbis Bay to St Ives is one of the most beautiful train journeys in England. We took it back yesterday for the sum total of £2.50, so not too bad at all. So, St Ives holds a bit of a special place in our hearts, really. We've been here a lot of times. First, probably mainly because this was Hannah's very first holiday when she was 5 months old. We stayed in a caravan park not far from here for 2 weeks. It rained a lot for 2 weeks, but there was a few nice days. But it was special. And after that, Hannah always referred to it as Hannah's Seaside. So it was never St Ives, it was always Hannah's Seaside. We came again when she was about 3, and this time we were camping. So we were camping at Polmanta, which is a big campsite at the top of town, in our own tent and everything. And again, we had a really nice week, although it was cut short, and I'll come back more to that in a minute. But unfortunately, that holiday when Hannah was 3 was the scene of the great stealing seagull. So Hannah's remembered this forever, and this was the time when the seagull stole her quavers. We were down on the beach just here, and pottering around. Anyway, the seagull swooped in, grabbed Hannah's bag of quavers, took it with him and burst it on a boat. We saw him burst it with his paw on a boat and then proceed to eat all the quavers. And later in the same day, I think, he also stole her ice cream. So that is what's fueled Hannah's lifelong hatred of seagulls. So she'll always remember now the seagull that stole the Crispies. So that was when she was 3. We came back again when in 2016. We came this time with Paul's mum, not so long after Paul's dad died. I had a lovely couple of weeks going all over Cornwall. And then we were here again last year, or was it the year before? We should have been coming in April 2020, and obviously for obvious reasons that got canned. We were then supposed to come in half-term holidays in 2020, but unfortunately somebody at Hannah's school tested positive for COVID, so she was in self-isolation, so we had to cancel. So we came down in April 2021 and had a lovely week, again staying at that same caravan park, actually, not far from here. And then we're here again now, staying over in a fantastic apartment in Carbis Bay, and we'll probably do a bit of a tour of that later. Hannah and Paul have gone in the arcade, which is just over my shoulder here. Again, that's another favourite of Hannah's from when she was little. But if we go back to the trip when Hannah was 3, not only is that famous for the seagull that stole Hannah's crisps and Hannah's ice cream, is also famous for the great storm, which meant that we ended up cutting our holiday short by a couple of days and packing up and coming home early. Now, remember, we were camping, and part of the tent got blown away. It was quite a scary night, but it's famous for the fact that Paul threw the tent in the bin. He got so frustrated trying to take it down and put it back in its bag, and it was soaking wet, and it was windy and everything else. He picked the whole lot up and he put it in a skip, and I think with the words, "I'm too effing old for this." so that holiday will always be remembered for not only for the seagulls, but also for Paul and his being too old to go in a tent anymore. So the plan for today is just to have a bit more of a mooch around here in St Ives. As I mentioned on the walk down, we were here yesterday as well, but we're going to have a spot of lunch somewhere, just a little bit of a mooch around, and then we'll go back on the train. So we'll catch up with you in a little while. Hello! Well, we're back from St Ives. When we last left you, I was just sat on the front of the harbour while Hannah and Paul went in the arcade. Hannah won a little orange dolphin thing from one of the grab machines, which she was really pleased about. After that, we went and had a spot of lunch in a restaurant called The Hub, which is again right on the harbour in St Ives. Didn't film that, it was really busy, but it was burgers all round. Really, really nice, bit pricey, but really nice. We had a bit of a mooch around the shops, really busy though, and the main kind of shopping street in St Ives, I mean, exactly as you'd imagine, because it's half term and the weather's really nice, as you can see. There was a couple of like very momentary showers while we were having lunch, nothing at all. A few people put umbrellas up, but it was hardly anything. But this is the weather, it's quite unbelievable for October. So after that, we just walked back up to the station and jumped on the train from St Ives back to Carbis Bay. The trains run every half an hour from St Ives to Carbis Bay, so 3 minutes past the hour and 33 minutes past the hour, and it takes all of 2 minutes on the train from St Ives to Carbis Bay. So if you're coming down here and you want to stay near to St Ives that it's easy to get to, and as you know from earlier in the vlog, we walked down there in 25 minutes, half an hour before, Carbis Bay is an ideal place to stay. You're away from the action, it's a little bit quieter, you got fantastic views just like this behind, but you can jump the train and be in St Ives in 2 minutes. And it cost us £2.50 off-peak train, £1 for Paul and I, and 50p for Hannah.